Okay, I gotta get ready. So while I'm getting ready, you watch. Okay, let's see. That button. There is no cord. What's this cord? No, that's not. Okay. Let's see. That it? Yeah, that's it. I can't find the cord. Huh. Well, I was gonna set up the laptop. Nobody's watching. One person's here. Okay. Look, it's Christmas. I put on my. Oh God, I didn't do my hair. I put on my Christmas sweater, and I wonder where that went. Here it is. So I get over there, and let's let's do a Christmas story. It'll be fun. Where are you here? I gotta have the screenshot, and then we'll get started. Okay, here it is. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. There he is, by Dr. Seuss. That's copyright 1957. I'm probably going to be copyrighted for this, but no matter. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, he did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. He snarled with a sneer? That's what it said right here. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming, for tomorrow he knew. But whatever the reason his heart hurt his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town, for he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. Oh, look at the guy with the drum here. All right. All the Who girls and boys would wake up bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. And then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who beast, where Who roast beef. That roast beast, that's what it is, which was something the Grinches couldn't stand in the least. And then they do something he'd like least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand in hand. Let me start over. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming, but how? I always love that face. Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around. But since reindeer are scarce, there are none to be found. Did that stop the Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on top of his head. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat. Wait a minute. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat. And he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I should look just like St. Nick. Then the Grinch said, get up! And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. Then he took, then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. All the windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. Look at this house. When he came to the first little house in the square, "This is stop number one," the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. And he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. Look at him, huh? "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present: pop guns and bicycles, roller skates and drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimbley. Then he slunk to the ice box. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that ice box as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. And he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. "And now," grinned the Grinch, "how we'll stuff up that tree." And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught up. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch. She said, "Santa Claus, why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he sent to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. Oh, I did that backwards. Okay, let's do it again. But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there's a light in this tree that won't light on my side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here." Okay, that's this part. And his fib fooled the child, then he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed that tree up. And the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney, himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food he'd left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. See the mouse? Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was 1/4 past dawn, all the Who's still abed, and the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, their ribbons and wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet. He rode with his load to the rooftop to the tip top to dump it. "Pooh, pooh to the Who's," he was grinchiously humming. "They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just wake up, I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will cry boo-hoo." "That's a noise," grinned the Grinch, "that I simply must hear." So I paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, and it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes, then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't thought before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And in a minute, his heart didn't feel quite so tight. He whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Isn't she cute there, little Cindy Lou Who? Dr. Seuss. Folks, you have a Merry Christmas, okay? I'm going to go to bed. I've been up all day. There you go. Share this with somebody you love. Or not. It's okay either way. All right. I'm going to take off. You folks stay groovy.